Always do my little breathing exercise before the stream starts. So I didn't do the top 10 Krillin fights this week because I was having some writer's block, and I will try very hard to do it this week, or rather this upcoming week. I've written half of the script, and I'll try to dedicate one of the, because usually when it's the most successful, I start in the morning writing parts of the script, and then after that, I usually have the whole thing done. So I'm very confident it might come out this week or next week, but certainly before the new year. We'll give it a few more weeks to be my main Dragon Ball video I'm trying to do out of the edited ones anyway. So the new chapter of Super came out yesterday, and I want to address it. Before I address it, I must warn you that there will be some spoilers. So if you are offended by spoilers or things being revealed, then oh well. Well, no, it's just me trying to, I guess, preface what I'm going to say. Make sure that no one who hasn't read it and who doesn't want to know what happens at the end, finds themselves hearing something they want to hear. I was pleasantly surprised by certain parts of it, but it's still, I would only praise for being better than the last half a year worth of chapters. So this is certainly my favorite one out of the ones after chapter 60. But it still is not something I really, would say I liked. I just liked it better than what we have received. And part of the reason for that is because when you have a story where it doesn't seem as if there was any direction that it was trying to go in, and it feels like it's being written with each installment versus having some idea plotted out of where it's ultimately going to go, uh, that's where it becomes irritating to me. So, one of the criticisms I had of this arc, for example, was that we didn't know where the hell Goten and Trunks were. And that was an okay thing because you don't always have to explain where each character is. Before they had the months long jump in time that we saw occur where Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin were training before Moro arrived with his different minions on Earth. And at that point, it didn't make much sense for Goten and Trunks to be out of the loop. So when they showed up at the all the way at the end of the arc in the last chapter of the arc to give their energy, it really feels undeserved by the characters because by their own words, they weren't told Goten and Trunks any of what was going on for months, which I just thought was a really stupid thing that just it didn't make sense to me as a plot point. What other dumb things happened? Oh, and also that this chapter confirmed that Boo literally existed in this arc just to kickstart it, have a decent, cool fight, and then go to sleep for the remainder of it and play no role in the story whatsoever after that, except having his body possessed by an older character. Older is in the character who is, uh, older in years. Uh, that ended up being more useful for the simple fact that he wasn't sleeping. There was a really good idea to have the Grand Supreme Kai in this, just be brought back and have like his origin, or rather have Moro's origin tied into Boo's origin. And it's like you set up this really nice connection to Z, and then your delivery of it is subpar because you're not actually delivering on it. You're using this character of Boo as a plot device to start the arc, having him get kidnapped, and then he's not even really treated as a character outside of one chapter. And he's the one who started the story. So I guess now, whenever they have a story where a character begins the tale, I can just give up on them actually getting any, screen time or development or uh, plot importance other than having their body be a host for another more important character. Also, them having Oob at the end really annoyed me as well because why the hell would like I don't know how the end of Z is going to tie into this because it seems really weird to me that they're gonna keep trying to like give Oob cameos without showing that he's showing that the other Z fighters are aware of who he is. It's just I don't I didn't really like it. Again, it was better than the last couple of chapters, but that's not saying much. Oh, Dio finally arrived. He had made sure to disappear ever since the Bora stream. I know you were crying yesterday, Dio, after the demise of your favorite antagonist. It's weird Goku is training Broly. It's weird Broly is a person who apparently never trained but was stronger than literal gods. But if you criticize the Broly movie, you're crazy. If you think that there were plot issues or things that didn't make sense in it, you're out of your mind. God, I guess with me, when I just see like what's the way of saying it? When there's such a unanimous opinion that something is good or bad, it makes me kind of get annoyed because it starts to seem less like people are actually, what's a good way of saying it, coming to their own conclusions and just making uh, their opinion reflective of someone else. So if you watch a review of the Broly movie, everybody will tell you how great and wonderful it was, and it was. Some people even say it was the best Dragon Ball film ever, and I roll my eyes. Last chapter is what 65 or the one that just came out yesterday, the newest one. Also, I didn't know that we're apparently ripping off Godzilla now with giant forms for Super Saiyans or for Saiyans. Hell, why couldn't they have just had Piccolo become a giant and have him fight? Oh, let me guess, they're gonna do a little crap about uh, Piccolo wouldn't have been strong enough to fend off against Moro. Well, couldn't they have just had Vegeta suck energy away from Moro to then make him weak enough for Piccolo to actually propel him? Because I was actually a couple of months ago going to do a video on why, if there was any character the Moro arc had handled decently of anybody, it was Piccolo. They let him have multiple fights. If he does lose to someone like he lost to Moro, it's someone that is literally beating up everybody, and it's not in some humiliating way. Yeah, Vegeta had the worst treatment, so he literally learned that move to look like he was going to beat up or defeat Moro and get one shotted by his new form that came out of nowhere pretty much. And then his new move that we spent over half a year seeing him develop was just there to bring some energy over to Goku to power him up more. So I said this Dragon Ball's got the same old, like every arc is the same old crap. The only reason I won't say that chapter was the worst thing in Super is because at least it had an ending that was to an extent satisfying. It didn't have the worst ending of any arc in Super. That belongs to the future Trunks arc. No, when I do the top 10 Krillin fights video, I want to do a review of the whole Moro arc where I just explain how it started off like really decent or good, and then it just kept ducking down there. Well, that's the thing. Every time I talk about wanting them to do less with Goku, people assume that it means I want him out of the story. I don't know why they can't just let other characters get some attention. Piccolo should be big. Yeah, that's what I was saying, that he actually has the ability to become a giant. So why couldn't they have had Vegeta take away enough energy from Moro to make him weaker and then have Piccolo be the one to finish him off? Or, have Vegeta be the, like, just other characters have powers that are better equipped to deal with Moro, but because of plot armor, Goku suddenly manifests a giant version of himself. Lord Slug got to be big. Hell, Xeno Lord Slug got ripped off by Moro because he was the first villain to fuse with the Earth, so Moro ripped him off. There's like some alternate universe where Chapter 61 was the ending of the Moro arc, and Vegeta beat Moro, and everybody on the internet was celebrating. Oh my God, Vegeta finally beat the main villain, and they're telling some way more interesting story than dragging this out. No, I am done. Super is so goofy for no reason. All in all, I probably give the arc a 4 out of 10 or a 5, because a lot of those earlier chapters I do like and still would say I like, but it's really similar to the Future Trunks arc, where earlier parts of it I like, and then as it went on, it just got more ridiculous. Yamcha should jump in and finish Moro. Well, with Yamcha, they showed him to seemingly have some promise by beating up one of the henchmen, and then some lizard clown came out of nowhere and was kicking his butt, and then Eventien and Chaozu were having trouble. And I thought, oh, that's going to be an interesting chapter, the three of them having to take out one of Moro's top goons, just to have Goku show up and one shot the person that the three of them together were having a hard time with. So I said that Goku just actively makes the plot less interesting to me, because you're never going to become invested in the story if you know this much stronger character is just like a heartbeat away, or can teleport over there, or get involved. Now I'm gonna steal Dio back. I'm gonna see Dio in somebody else's chat. I'm gonna say, "No, Dio, come back," and grab you out of the chat. He's becoming more like Superman. That's not a good thing. LOL. Now, Superman actually has weaknesses. I mean, they could have an issue where of Justice League where Batman is getting overpowered by some villain, and then Superman flies over there, and the villain pulls out the kryptonite, and then it's still interesting because now Superman's been incapacitated. When you have a character like Goku who has no weaknesses, uh, and is written to be the strongest character, you really can't do anything with anybody else without him showing up and making all the, like, that's why one of the things I liked about the Cell Saga, that you had this really interesting duopoly of, is he going to wake up in time to save the day, and if he wakes up, is he even going to be able to save the day? I don't know, it just seems like the whole purpose of Super has been to just make Goku and Vegeta leagues and leagues and leagues more stronger than all the other characters, to where, like, I don't find it interesting. It's just propping up two people over and over. And then one of them they prop up and won't even let him finish the job. That's why that guy said that Vegeta is the Robin to Goku's Batman. He's like, let me loosen up the villain so the boss can can save the day for the umpteenth time. I want to make a list of all the chapters that were good, because 60 was interesting because they had a plot swerve where it looked like Goku was going to save the day, and then he started getting his butt whooped, and then Vegeta showed up and at the last minute to seemingly get the save before that was ruined by 61. So I would still say 60 is a good chapter. Um, which one is the one where the first one that came out this year, where the Z fighters were all gathered up? and they were, gonna fight the different minions or whatever. That one was good too because there was a little bit of tension to it because Vegeta and Goku were, elsewhere. So out of this whole year, they've had maybe 2 chapters I really liked, and that's kind of it. Goku is like a cringy OC character. I mean, he's a self-insert for the writers at this point. He's just there to resolve everything. We can't have the other characters save the day or. And that's what I think is really funny about some of the Dragon Ball fans. Are like, why do other people want Vegeta to win, and why are they so mad when Goku wins? Because we've seen that before. Like, if you've watched this whole series from Dragon Ball to Z to hell, especially if you watch GT, it's always Goku that wins. There was only one arc where there were 2 arcs rather, where he wasn't the one who defeated the villain, or at least was part of the equation of defeating the villain, the main villain. So, God forbid you want something different every once in a quarter century. Now they act so confused. I don't understand why fans don't want Goku to save the day for every single arc for the remainder of the series. Why do you want something different? Do you imagine if I did a Justice League comic? No, not even Justice League. I did an Avengers comic. And every year there's a villain who is like the main villain of the arc or of the current storyline. And the stories always end with Iron Man showing up and killing the villain after some fight. You never get to see Captain America do that. You never get to see Hulk do that, Thor, or any of these other people. Would you really find that interesting if it's the same epilogue every single year? Like, really, I don't see a difference between the ending of this and the Buu saga, where it looked like other characters might be able to defeat Moro. Just it looked like other characters might be able to defeat Buu. And then we just go back to Goku and some attack that only he can use to destroy the villain. They should have Goku's brain turn to pudding from all the fighting, then the next arc. They're gonna give him what is it, CTP? What's that thing that wrestlers get when they get all the headshot, the chair shots or headshots? You know what I'm saying? That if you get the same epilogue over and over, I don't see where that's interesting. I mean, people are really crazy. They act like if you want anything different, you're suddenly not a fan of this, or you don't get it or something, or that what you want is incomprehensible. Yeah, I would say that probably out of all of the arcs of Super, the one I like the most, Determine the Power, because that's the only one where it feels like somebody else actually got to save the day with 17. Well, that's in the show. The manga version is more Goku and Vegeta. Determine the Power actually, like as a whole arc, it did a decent job of focusing on Gohan at the start, and then 17 in the actual tournament, and Frieza, and I think I would say Vegeta as well. That's literally every arc of Super and Z. um, Piccolo was handled all right in the version of the arc in the show. It wasn't that good, but it was better than what he usually gets. Yeah, the tournament they only really mishandled Krillin, Tien, and 18 in the show, and then the manga they mishandled every damn body. I mean, if Goku can die from a heart disease, it's completely possible. No, I don't think they're gonna. There's a thing with fans where they don't want any realistic topics to get addressed in the series. So the idea that you'd have a character who all of their injuries from fighting would actually take a toll on their mental health, they're not going to do that. Even again, if it would be something unique and potentially interesting, depending on how it's written. And I really don't trust Toyotaro or Toriyama to write that in a decent manner because they've shown that they don't know what they're doing. The only thing Toyotaro knows how to do is draw, and the only thing Toriyama knows how to do is get paid for what he used to draw 20 years ago. It's so crazy how like I can go back and rewatch Dragon Ball and then Z up until like the start of the Buu saga. I'm like, wow, there are all these deeper themes in this. And then I would read Super or watch Super. It's like this is really by the same person who made that, really, because it was his idea to swap out Buu for Frieza uh, in the Tournament of Power. I was like, you really wanted them to just keep not using this character to just keep having him go to sleep every single arc because Super has been screwing with me with Boo for 4 years now. DL, do you remember when the Universe 6 tournament came out and we had that poster of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Boo, and then that Monaka character at the top, and then the Universe 6 people at the bottom? I was like, oh my God, yes, they're going to have Piccolo and Boo fight somebody that isn't, Beerus for the first time in this show. This is going to be so great. And then Boo doesn't get a fight because he's sleeping. Piccolo gets a fight, they gets screwed over by Frost, and then they don't even let him have a rematch. And then they just suck off Goku and Vegeta for the rest of it. That's a good show. The one that just keeps telling, yeah, we're gonna use these characters. And then I remember this one guy who was like, the fans don't care about anybody besides Goku and Vegeta. It's like, well, hell, you guys don't. The writers don't care about anybody but Goku and Vegeta. Like, are you surprised that those are the two most popular characters when they're the only ones that are constantly getting used? What pissed you off, Dio? But it's like the writers make it to where these two characters are constantly shoved down our throats, and then you're surprised that those are the only ones that you see fans drawing stuff of and talking about. Because, like I said, if the writers wanted to, they could make Piccolo as strong as Goku tomorrow. They gave 17 a BS power up. Except I would actually prefer if they, show Piccolo getting stronger over a course of arcs like they did with Gohan and Z. But that would actually require planning its stuff out ahead of time, and we know that's not how Super operates. Universe 6 tournament, yeah. Do you remember at the Universe 6 tournament in both the show and the manga, Gohan wasn't there? And that made me think that he was going to have some bigger role in the next arc. Like they were saving him for some major story after that. And then in the future Trunks arc, all he did was eat some ice cream and talk to Trunks before he went to the past. Then find out about what happened after everybody's already fought Black like twice, and then wave goodbye. Piccolo should have had Ultra Instinct. Piccolo should have had it. Krillin should have had it. Tien should have had it. The three of them. Think about it. Piccolo and Tien train just as much, if not more, than Goku and Vegeta. And Krillin trained for, they could easily say they claim in Super he went back to training. So it would have been really interesting to see characters that aren't Saiyans getting power ups that don't feel like they're out of nowhere because we've seen them train literally for over an entire series at this point. Toriyama hates Vegeta from what I heard. It's just like when people say Oda hates Sanji. If Toriyama hates Vegeta, why is he the most recurring character in Super besides Goku? Like I think chapter 59. I can only think of maybe 5 chapters of the whole Super manga that Vegeta's not in. So if he hates him, why is he getting used more than anybody else? I would say if you want to make the argument for him hating him, you could point to him getting these power ups that don't do jack. That he gets these power ups and he still gets beat by every new main villain that shows up. His hairline. He's my favorite troll doll. Yeah, I was never into Vegeta as much as a lot of other people. Like I'll point out when his character, is interesting or is not done as well as others. I guess is treated worse than other characters, but I don't really I feel the same way toward him that a lot of fans feel toward Krillin, where I don't mind him. The BS power up. Well, see, the thing with Vegeta and Goku is that they both get shown training, and with 17, he was in the woods fighting random bandits and criminals, and now is like stronger than everybody in Universe 7 except what, 3 people that aren't gods. So he was really the architect of having a ridiculous power up that comes out of nowhere. That's why it's really irritating to me to watch people say that characters like Krillin and Piccolo and Tien and Yamcha can't get to the level of Saiyans or become strong enough to compete. But then characters like Frieza and 17, who are both weaker than First Form Cell when they left the story, are able to come back and now be as strong as gods. I just don't understand their logic. That's because there is no logic. They act like someone doesn't decide when they're writing a story. This character will be strong enough to do this. This character will be strong enough to do that. So I never cared for power level videos. It's just people always try to find logic and stuff that's dominated by the feelings. Somebody feels like they have to write a story, so they'll write it in whatever way they want, including how strong a character is or isn't. Because remember, Toriyama felt like Gohan shouldn't be that much stronger than he was in the Cell Saga at the start of the Buu Saga, so he didn't make him really any stronger, if not a little bit weaker than he was when the Cell Saga finished. And just for good measure, he made sure to say that Piccolo was weaker than Gohan after Piccolo had trained for 7 years, while Gohan had sat around for 7 years, which was one of the first instances of bad writing in the series, of this like weird tilting of power heavily, like so heavily in favor of the Saiyans that it almost becomes completely ridiculous to even care what happens in that show anymore. That's gonna be a one and done stream. We have 4 people here. Nobody's saying anything except Dio. I guess Dio is the only one that missed me. He's the only one that decided to write anything. Everybody else was too scared. I mean, it's fine. I just think it's a little what's a good way of saying it? Unexpected that people would show up to a stream and not say anything. Like, I'm watching him, and he doesn't know I'm here. All right, whatever. Yeah, I really think Super would be a much better show if they focused on other characters. Because again, when you choose to only harp on two people, what's a good way of saying it? Your story becomes more predictable because you know that certain plot points are only going to be achieved with those two characters. Moro eat big Getty star. Isn't that the thing for Cooler? If I'm remembering correctly, I haven't seen either Cooler film in a long time. Oh, that's how they're gonna bring Moro back. They're gonna reintroduce Moro by resurrecting him so that Cooler can get his revenge. Meta Moro, as there were like 90 Moros walking around. I'm just imagining that they introduce the next arc and it's like Dragon Ball Super, the return of Moro, and everybody just gets so mad. It's like we just got rid of this goat hoe and now bring him back. I'm just laughing because like I still can't get over that there was one person who wanted Zamasu to come back. I'm like, well, if they're not going to bring Cell back, there's no way in hell they're going to bring Zamasu back. It's like like people apparently don't get how this works. If they treat an older popular character like garbage, they're going to treat a newer popular character even worse. Like I don't really think Super has handled Krillin that well, especially during the Tournament of Power and then to an extent this arc. But at least he still appears every now and again. Characters like Hit and Caulifla and Kale and Kefla and those two Namekians from Universe 6, you probably won't see them in the manga for another 2 or 3 years, if not longer. And I'm not saying that to gloat because I do think you can tell interesting stories with new characters. I'm just saying that like every time I hear this weird attempt to say screw this older character, don't use him, get rid of him, they're doing that with the newer ones just as much, if not way more. Because we saw Yamcha 4 times during this arc. He's in 4 chapters. He's in the newest one, and then like 2 or 3 of the it's like 46, 47, 48. How many times do we see Hit during this arc? How many times do we see Kale during this arc? Or Jiren? The only new characters that the writers of Super give a teeny bit of concern about are Beerus and Whis. That's it. All the other ones, including Beerus's brother, Shappa, man, those older characters, they get treated bad, but not as awful as the new ones. The only new characters that get treated a little bit better are than the older characters are the new villains. And usually they're just a flavor of the month because they get a big role in one arc and then that's it. Just like with Beerus. Yeah, he appears more often than pretty much any character that's not Goku and Vegeta, especially in the anime and the manga. It's a little bit. I'd have to go through and count each chapter, but they still don't do anything with him. He just stands around at being comic relief. They had a chance to have him fight during this chapter, and they switched it over to being comic relief. They're like, "Oh, we have to go right before Beerus was finally going to stop sitting on his behind for the last 3 years worth of story." No, I love it when people do that new character crap. They need to use the new characters to hell with the old ones. Said, yeah, if you believe they're gonna do that anytime soon, and then it's like, they're not gonna do that because Goku and Vegeta are by definition older characters, and they're the main ones hogging all the spotlight. And then the character who got I think indisputably the most attention this arc that wasn't Goku, Vegeta, or Moro, which was Piccolo, because he was the fourth most recurring character in the arc, is an older character. It's like it's really not difficult to figure out what the trajectory of this story is. Hey Dio, do you get what I'm saying? That like all that crap about they need to use the newer characters is funny because even the people who make Super don't care about the newer characters as much as they care about the older ones. Like the only characters who get treated worse than the newer characters are characters that were introduced in the Boo saga, except Hercule and maybe Boo. Because I think Vidal's only in one chapter, and I know that Goten and Trunks are only in one chapter of this arc, and that still is better than all the new characters except Moro. No, that is hilarious. They need to treat the older. They need to use the newer characters instead of the older ones, and all the older ones get treated better than the newer ones. Hell, if you look at the roster for fighters, or really any of the new games, most of the roster is characters from Z. I just think it's amusing that they're really trying to play this game of Dragon Ball needs to get hip and start using these new characters, and then all they do and all the merchandise they get is about older characters. And if it's not even about characters, it's about like all the games, for example, are all patterned around Z. If I'm Dio, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the base roster of fighters only have characters from Z except for 21 and Beerus? Do you remember? Because I don't remember any characters from Super being in the base roster for fighters. They got added as DLC later on. I think the only thing that was from Super that was in fighters was the blue haired Super Saiyan forms. Told you Dragon Ball in its current uh in its current state is just a attempt to cash in on people's memories of Z. That's all it is, and that's all it's probably ever going to be. They could start using Hit and all these other people, but the only reason anybody will watch their crap or read their little dumb manga is because of Z, not because it's a good story that lured people in. No, nobody likes Super for Super. They like Super for Z. It's the same thing with Boruto. Nobody likes Boruto for Boruto. They like Boruto for Naruto and Shippuden. Um, yeah, I did like that game. I like Tenkaichi 3 more, but I had fun with that one as well. At least in Budokai 3, they didn't put out some BS roster and then expect you to download the other half of the characters on DLC in the next 2 years. I miss the pre DLC days when people would put out a full game. They would say, "Here it is. If we didn't do a good enough job, you be the judge." They didn't say, "Here's 10 characters. If you want 30, you have to wait 24 months for us to put them in there." Yeah, the Budokai 3 will always be a complete game. Fighters is a game that uh, you have to download half of it on some through some internet connection. That game had the worst roster of any Dragon Ball fighting game I've ever seen. Yeah, the Goku one for PS4 is way too much. Are you talking about Kakarot? Because if you are, that's another game where they're trying to like expand its lifespan with DLC. I'm so sick of DLC that if there's one thing about modern gaming that needs to die, it's that. And again, if they want to use that to fix glitches or patches, whatever, but like Xenoverse 2, for example, has a dozen DLC packs with over 30 characters that they add to the game. It's like why can't they just make a third one? Because I know next year if they announce a third one, there's only 10 new characters in the game. I'm gonna get a little bit irritated because you could have just saved the ones that you stuck for DLC for two for three. It's like they really do not want to make a third one. Because remember, Xenoverse 2 came out the year after the first one. If you had told me that I would have to wait 4 years and counting for three to come out, I would have thought you were smoking. Like there would be no way I would have believed you. But again, it wouldn't be because I'm some person who is skeptical of people's claims. It would be because they literally put the sequel out the year after the first one. So I figured at most it would be 2 years before they found another one. Nope. DLC is so damn irritating. And everyone is still complaining about WWE 2K20. I mean, they can get mad all they want. I wish people would get mad about Dragon Ball games. All I see is appeasement. Like you criticize the roster of fighters. You want them to put every character in there. I'm like, no, I was completely content with the roster for Xuniverse. Um, what's the one that came out after Tenkaichi 3? Raging Blast. Like if I'm content with rosters that are much smaller than Tenkaichi 3, I think that should say that I'm not really asking for much. You want them to put in 100+ characters. And I said the roster for fighters now with all the DLC is fine, and it's something I would say is good. The current roster, but if they could have made almost twice as many characters in 2 years, why the hell couldn't they just put the game out this year instead of 2018? So I said a lot of these games are not being made for the sake of being something you enjoy as a finished product by itself. Because if you look at a lot of people playing fighters, they're usually playing online with a bunch of other people, uh, which is not a bad thing. But when games are not satisfying the play on their own and they have a dependency on the online feature, it's really to me it's not something that games should strive to be. I think a game should be fun by itself or with other people. Every time I hear people talk about fighters in a positive way, it's always, oh, the online, the online, the online. Because I used to play Tenkaichi 3 by myself, Raging Blast by myself, and enjoyed it alone because the fun of the game was not tied exclusively to playing with other people. Back when games weren't half finished. Well, Dio, I want to ask you, if people tell you that fighters had what's the way of saying it, a roster that wasn't bad, why did the game developers in less than 2 years make so many characters that added to the roster it had when the game first came out? It's almost twice as much. Like if they believed that their own roster was complete or was not bad or was good or whatever, wouldn't they have just kept it as it was? Wouldn't they have not put so many characters on, for download and DLC in less than 2 years? Is what I'm saying makes sense that if their roster was so good, wouldn't they have just put the game out and that'd have been the end of it? Because I know with Rage and Blast, they put their roster out, their game out, and that was it. They didn't tell you to go download some pack, or not some pack, three with 12 or 15 more characters. Yeah, I miss when games weren't half finished. And again, I don't know why they can't. You know what? I do know why, because they have a license thing where I guess if they don't put out a Dragon Ball game every year, every other year, then it breaks the license. Because I know that with Fox, they had to put they made the Wolverine movie, the first one in 2009, but they had to put X-Men Origins in the title because if they didn't put the word X-Men in the title, they would lose the license because then it wouldn't be considered an X-Men movie. Uh, but if that's the case, they should have put their foot down and said, listen, we can't put out a game with a roster that is equal or akin to another modern game like Xenoverse in this year. We can do it in 2 years. We can do it in three, but we can't do it now. Give us an extension. But they didn't do that. They said, we're just going to put out this half finished game and people are going to fall in love with it and forget that, you barely have anybody to play as unless you buy a bunch of other crap on the computer. Let me go see how many characters Fighters added after it came out so I can be correct. Let me see. Desktop. All right. The base roster was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 characters. And now I'm seeing that they're saying it was 20. I just counted 24 and they're saying the base roster was 21 characters. So I'm going to go with their count. The first Fighters Pass put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. The second pass put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters. So 8 plus 6 is 14. And the third pass, which is not finished yet, is going to put in another 5 characters, which will be 19. So if you add the 19 to the base roster of 21, that's what, 40? So again, almost half of the game's roster when this season 3 pass is over is going to be from DLC. So it literally is a half finished game, just like Dio said. Nobody thinks that's lazy. We're not going to actually put 40 characters in it like, Xenoverse or the other games that have a minimum of 40 characters. Instead, we're going to put in 21 and then we'll have 40 in 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I'm telling you, as long as you put the words Dragon Ball on something, people will buy it. I can't wait for them to make some Dragon Ball toilet paper. They have some orange toilet paper with some little stars on it and some little circles with red stars on them, and people start buying that. Like, oh my god, I have to get it. And then they make that toilet paper in blue. They call that the Vegeta variant. I just wish fans demanded more. Like, I don't understand this weird position of giving the developers all this credit when the actual evidence bears out that they rushed to stick the game out and then covered their bases in DLC later. Imagine if real life was like that. You turn in a homework assignment. Oh, don't worry. I know I only have half of it done or 21 out of 40 questions answered. But next week, I'll do 8. And the week after that, I'll do 6. And 2 months after that, I'll do the other 5. And I remember one of the defenses against having a big roster was that uh, people were probably not going to play with all the characters. And then you find out that because fighters makes characters play differently, but some play crappily than others in the eyes of a lot of fans, they have characters they don't play as because everybody agrees they suck, like Videl, for example. So they in trying to get around the idea of making it to where people would be incentivized to want to play as each character because of the way they played being different. All it did was make it to where when you go online, you see people playing as like the same 11 characters over and over. I just thought that was funny that, yeah, we're going to make all the characters play differently so that when the game actually is released, everybody only plays as 5 or 6 different people. Somebody sent me a list. They said people never play as Krillin, they never play as Piccolo, Tien. And I said, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of like what the main appeal of this different what do you call it crap? Because I would rather have characters play one way and that one way is like decent or satisfactory, which was the case with Tenkaichi 3. Then they all play differently and some of them suck because the different way in which they play is not considered as well as others. What the hell? Men online will always be obsessed with the way I look. That's like a what do you call it? A foreboding manner of what they do. We're not going to address what he says. We'll just talk about what he has on. Anyways, Deal, do you have anything else to say? Because you got really quiet as your favorite game was being talked about. Your favorite unfinished game. And again, I would say the same thing about Xenoverse 2, even though I like that as well. Because I've never seen a game where they put out 30 characters in DLC. That was crazy. And I really am confused as to why they can't just make a third one. Like, why do they have to just keep adding these life expansions to the second one? I don't know who you love is talking to. I really hope he's not talking to me because I'm the reverse of that. You know, somebody actually did do a video where they called somebody a smart idiot, and I was just awestruck because it's such an oxymoron. Yeah, I'd like for you, love, to state who he was referring to with his vague comment. You're not gonna say who it was. Me gaming. I don't recall ever saying I had any intention to post any gaming videos. Do it off the phone. I don't play any games on the phone. I get like a ROM and that's it. No, I talked about those games because they were in relation to another topic I described. Because before you came and decided to focus on my attire for some reason, we were discussing Dragon Ball, and we went from talking about the new chapter that came out yesterday to talking about the games and how prior to 5 years ago, when they would put out a video game in that franchise, the game was actually complete, whether it was good or bad. And now all they do is put out a game and then ram a whole bunch of DLC. What about Pokemon or any other cartoons? Yeah, I've played those before. Um, I don't know if I'd be up for streaming it anymore because a lot of times when you the problem with playing those on a stream is sometimes I do level grinding and it's not really that interesting to watch somebody just run back in grass over and over. Like even if I put it on fast mode, it still is not really something that's that appealing. I was worried you love because I thought you were talking about me. Well, I wouldn't try to beat the game in one stream. I'm not going to torture myself doing that. Yeah, you love was like, please ban me. Hey, you love, I've noticed that you've had that same avatar for months. When are you gonna change it? It's like who gives a damn what his avatar is? You know what? Since Taco made that comment, we're gonna call this the fashion show live show, the FSLS. I'm gonna do a stream from a beauty salon since everybody wants to talk about the way what my attire is and what I have on all this other weird stuff. And it's like it's always another man who is uh talking about my look or whatever. It's like, what is this? And it's a straight man. Like if I went to a gay bar and they did this, it would make sense because that's what they're into. But I just find that very bizarre, like really weird. Hold on, let me put it on there. Like that's nuts. Rainbow zombies will get you. I mean, I don't understand the appeal. I mean, I have a brother. We did a stream together this past Saturday, in fact, with nobody on the computer is my brother. I'm just a person that puts up videos that has men take a very bizarre interest in certain things about me that they should not care about. That's all there is to it. Where did Dio go? Dio, do you have anything else to write? You were the person who was typing the most until others decided to show up at the last minute. It's usually guys who comment on male appearance. Yeah, unfortunately. Um, and again, it's always weird to me when what's the way of saying it? Like I don't understand what they have to gain from doing that. It's like I'm looking at you. It's like all right. I find it very disturbing and bizarre and weird and all the other adjectives you could use to describe what should be behavior that is not normal. Like the only reason it doesn't surprise me anymore is because it's they just keep doing it over and over. Hello, sir. Even though I'm straight and shouldn't care about what another man looks like, I'm going to talk about what he has on and his face and what he's sitting on and whatnot. Yeah. Like I said, I can go to my grave knowing that the majority of times people have talked about my appearance online, it's been other men. No, they really do derail the conversation because we there was a pretty I don't want to say intricate, but it was thorough discussion of the moral arc, and then we segued into talking about some of the different games and their little DLC nonsense, the little scam that those gaming companies are running today. So it was a nice talk while it lasted, but of course, like all good things, it doesn't last. It has to be replaced by another one of the 909 million discussions about my appearance by men online because that's all they do. I've been looking at you, sir. Oh, so now I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? Am I Leonardo or Donatello or Michelangelo or Raphael? Is Taco Splinter? Do you think they care about this? I'd imagine not. If they're treating you like trash without even seeing you in person, then like out of all the broads I've spoken to, they've never asked me about it. So not from my personal experience, but that's just me. I haven't seen any ask about it. I'm busy today, so I can't speak today. Well, Ruben, I do appreciate the contribution. Rest assured that that Barbara Lee documentary is on my itinerary of stuff I'm gonna make. I haven't forgotten about it. I was just getting tormented by this other video that I was trying to edit, and the writer's block associated with that. No, that was crazy. He saw, I watch your video, so I'm your brother. I'm like, what? Huh? Oh, I remember. Is his dad's first name Donald? Because he was the headmaster at some school that Epstein wasn't qualified to teach at, and then he wrote some book that people have said sounds similar to what Epstein did with his private place or private mansion, private jet. Yeah, I got his because I remember him and Barr's dad and Trump have the same first name. Yeah, I remember that. The brotherhood. No, the thing about those romance guys is they won't let you talk about anything else. I've had some of them who have actually tried to play revisionist history, and they're like, "I remember when you used to just discuss romance." Like, I never just discussed that. That was a topic I discussed, but it's always been mostly politics. They're trying to transform history, morph it into something convenient for their position. Start a gaming channel. Every time I see that, I just roll my eyes. You have to talk about something else. Nobody tells ESPN they have to talk about cooking. The brotherhood. The only time I think of that term, or when I think of that term, I always remember the Brotherhood of Mutants, which is the second X-Men reference in this stream. I don't know who Neo is supposed to be. All kind of little in jokes that people tell on here, and then nobody gets it except for them. Like, this is so funny. That's why I'm the only one laughing. I don't know who that. What? Do you really think I just go on a scale and I'm like, I have now count? And why would another man care about how much I weigh? And Taco's like, please ban me, please ban me. It was Friday the 13th last week, so he's like, ban, ban, ban me. What kind of music do you listen to? I'd rather answer that than what's being written here. Like, you're literally the only person here who's like typing 8 or 9 different comments about my appearance. This is getting kind of creepy. Now, these are underhanded, weird statements on your part. Again, I would say the first 45, 50 minutes of the stream was pretty decent. And then after all of this little talk about my appearance came up, it got annoying. Yeah, I don't use any pills. That's why I think it's weird that there are members of that group that try to say I'm part of it. It's like I don't do any videos talking about what pill I swallowed or any of that. So this the chick stuff is the only topic in the world where if you have a perspective on it, you're automatically inducted into different teams and affiliations. Like I don't link any of those groups. I don't have any pill to talk here, and then all of a sudden you're being told about you're part of this group. That famous video. But even in that, I didn't say I was part of it. You can go watch it again if you don't believe me. I didn't say I was part of any group. I didn't say that I was trying to get with a woman to get screwed. So none of that was ever even 3 years ago discussed at all on my part. It's just a bunch of projection. Believe in the same topics. The only reason I want to get with a broad for the last 2, 3, 4 years uh, was to get married and have children. And once that seemed to be a thing that couldn't happen because they would keep doing a little false signal crap, I just said to hell with it. That's far different from I want to get with someone so I can have a girlfriend and she can love me and I can screw her every couple of weeks. So we are not the same. I had a motivation that was not aligned with a lot of these people in these groups. And again, I never used their names in any of the URLs for my stuff. They just came to me. Please join the romance team. You say you're not part of their group. Yes, you are. Granted, you are not going to agree on everything, but general, that's what it's all about. No, I've been on their forums. They're talking about, you have some of them that say they want violence toward chicks. You have some of them that say they just want to get screwed. I don't want to be affiliated with that. And again, if a woman did a video where she was talking about not being able to get with men, nobody would say she's part of some romance group that she didn't even link or mention anywhere in her video or in any of the things related to her video. It's just a weird thing online where one group has tried to gain a monopoly on an opinion, and then a bunch of people who don't like someone's opinion try to say they're part of that group. So they're working from two different sides, but they both have the same end goal of trying to paint you into a corner because you have some specific opinion. Those two groups, the crazy ones and the then guys, but social media has destroyed family values, etc. Yeah, but you're not really when you start talking about the way somebody looks as they're making points about ridiculous things that chicks do. I don't understand how my appearance would dictate the actions of a broad that barely knows me or that I spoke to for a few weeks or months, which is again why this weird overanalyzing of my appearance is pretty useless in terms of actually figuring out what the problem is. If this man was prettier to other men, this bimbo wouldn't have treated him like trash. What kind of women do you desire? Hey, as long as they don't desire you, it doesn't matter which ones you want to get with. I'll put it to you like this, Black Pill. I have met over 90 broads that I was content with. And you know, they play their little stupid games on the computer and in real life, and I just said the hell with it. I know what I want, they don't know what they want. I've been studying whatever to improve my dating life. Yeah, see, I don't believe in that because I don't subscribe to the idea that because of someone else's decision, I need to feel like I need to learn more things about the way they act when they're the ones who are screwing things up for themselves. I'm not the one who spoke to somebody for 2 or 3 months for the purpose of uh, not getting with that person or trying to friend zone them. Comes down to money, looks, and status. Well, again, if money was actually something you need to get with a bimbo, how the hell do you have these people that live in poor neighborhoods with children? Like, no one's been able to explain that. Every time I go to a neighborhood that could be considered bad or ghetto or whatever the hell, all I see is a bunch of kids running around, and either a dad is there or he isn't. But the point is, kids are still being born via fathers that are not millionaires or making six figures. So all this talk about all this money that you have to have is BS. Again, I deal with reality. This is a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see." So all the computer clowns can type about, "You need to do this, you need to have that," and then you go in the real world and see somebody that doesn't have that and know they have a kid, and then you know that what was said to you online is trash. All right, well, go. If I look that way, you can go somewhere else. It's even in your name. Let me see. What's the other thing that was written on here? A good link. Oh no! Don't tell me it's going to be somebody else's video because that's what everybody's been trying to do. Go watch this person. You got to listen to the Gospel of Mark. He saw the light. Where's what are the other things that you wrote? Because now people are typing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, Slum Digger. I don't know what they're talking about. Uh, and I'm mad at you because I haven't seen you on a stream in months. So I'm getting ready to curse you out. Let me read what else did he write? No, that money thing is so ridiculous. And again, looks are a subjective thing. Again, there are plenty of chicks that I don't think are pretty that still get screwed. So men coming on my channel say, I think you're ugly, isn't going to stop me from getting screwed. It's not going to change my fate. Because by their logic, every man that they don't think is attractive won't get screwed ever, right? Or won't get with the woman, right? I don't use Tinder. I used that thing for I think 2 or 3 weeks and I turned it off or uninstalled it rather. Let's see, where's the other? It doesn't matter if you use it; they do. Yeah, but if they use it and they still don't talk to you while you're using it, then it's like you don't even use it to begin with. I must have swiped right on I don't even know how many chicks, and you didn't hear anything back, but you're supposed to keep doing that day after day because yeah. So I even said to one of my this other person I talked to online, thank God social media wasn't around 20 years ago. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been born because my mother would have had 90 different men trying to talk to her. That's the one time technology being a primitive piece of trash was good. That's the only instance where that was to someone's benefit. So you're admitting that they're all a bunch of gold diggers, Kevin. Because again, when people are talking about women are out of your league, they're not talking about chicks that make six figures or live in a mansion. They're just saying that purely off of a woman's appearance, which cost her nothing to have. All of them slum digger. I don't think it matters. Well, the only person I'm willing to take care of is my little brother. The rest of them, of these grown adult women that want to get taken care of by me, can go to hell. It's not my job to have somebody on an allowance that's not a kid. The mindset of this generation compared to the one before is almost completely different. I can't wait for somebody to take care of me. Not me. I just don't see why it's my obligation to do something like that. Again, more talk about pills. I never mentioned pills at all. Believe in hope. That's why I say I'm not part of these groups because I don't use any of their terminology. It's literally just you criticize chicks, so you're automatically on our side. We know Slum Digger's friend tried to do that. Yeah, because I'm not going to be held accountable for what other people think and do. Like the whole point of those groups as a social construct is that you can say one member is just like all the other ones. And I don't think a group should own an opinion. And only time I talk to members of that group is if they show up in my chat. I'm not on any of their forums. I don't talk to any of them in real life. They enter my domain spewing that stuff. All seriousness, there is a Discord server where we have good discussions about this. Yeah, well, if you knew my opinion on that website, you would know there's no way in hell of me going on in anybody's server anymore. A lot can happen in 20 years. Even the way we speak to each other is a bit different. No, I'm not disagreeing. I know that I said before, social media made everything 10 times worse. I'm just saying I think it's really insane that a group of people is allowed to own an opinion. How are the robots going to be able to reproduce? If they don't, then women are never going to be rendered obsolete. Like if you're someone who doesn't care about getting screwed, you're not going to care about a stupid robot because you want things that they cannot do that involve more than sticking your banana inside of them. Again, a lot of these solutions don't fit me because, like I said before, I don't care about sex. It doesn't matter. It's an overrated thing that if I wanted, I could just go to the state right next to mine, Nevada, to have it done legally in Vegas versus talking to a bunch of broads on a computer for years. I would love to do that video, sex is overrated, and just like see all the people that act crazy on there. Great mindset. I mean, I don't care. It's literally like if you've done it once, it's the same thing every time. You and some clown go the foreplay or whatever. She goes like this, or she gets on top of you, whatever way. Some thrusting, and then stuff sprays out, and that's it. Like I don't get why people are losing their mind over this. The only reason that the chick stuff even bothered me to any degree was the idea that I could never reproduce because I think I'd be a decent parent. That's it. No, it's really comical. I never thought I'd see a day that sticking your banana in the taco was like doomsday for people. How will I ever go on? A good robot. Well, again, Slum Digger, if you want one of those, or anybody in the chat wants one of those, they can go buy it for themselves. I don't. I'm not here to judge or ascertain the logic behind anyone else's romantic choices. I don't care. I'm being asked what my opinion is of something and saying why it doesn't interest me. Like literally, all of this is centered around a group of men, not all the ones here, but on the internet being upset at the choice of another man to not talk to chicks. That like it's literally other men upset at another man's romantic life. They're like, under 5'5". I'm just gonna get asked how tall I am for just forever. Look at go if you want to believe that that's how tall I am, you can believe it. It's not my job to keep informing people of my stats. Like this is the NFL, and you're one of the people trying to draft me. How is sex accessible when so many men are going sexless? Well, in Las Vegas, you can have sex legally for a price. So instead of me talking to a bunch of chicks on a computer and hoping and praying that they'll let me come over to whatever state they're in and bend them over, I can just set up an interaction, or rather, set up a 2-3 day period where I go to Vegas and then get with the prostitute, pay her a price, and bend her over. And then my quest for sex, if I was on one, would be fulfilled. Not that hard. I don't know who you love is talking to. I want kids too, but I know the girl would get bored after the honeymoon phase and cheat on me. Might as well pick a trophy. To hell with that. Yeah, Grand Zeal. I just don't understand why like that is again, this goes back to that self-fulfilling not self the just world fallacy where it's like, oh yeah, this man is 5'5", even though I have no proof that he is. Again, whatever height you want to believe I am, because I've said my height repeatedly, I'm just not going to keep regurgitating it. Well, again, Taco, if you want to do that, you're allowed to do that. I'm not in control of your penis. I'm not the what's the telepathic character? I'm not the Jean Grey of sex organs. Like it's not something that I can control. No, I would, in all seriousness, the closest I would come to any of this crap reaching like a finalization would probably just be to adopt. Other than that, I wouldn't bother. Slum Digger, there are a lot of people on Discord. I don't know who that is. Again, another person I'm not aware of because I don't pay attention to every romance video that's been posted on this website and the stats of the different people that make them. Yeah, Slum Digger, that's one of the biggest mistakes you can do online because even if you don't call yourself attractive, you still, if people see what you look like, they will talk trash about the way you look until next week. Some say I'm pretty, some say I'm hideous. But I know they're gay because it's all men talking about the way I look every goddamn day. Oh, it's so nice to hear that from a member of the romance crew. Hell, we have to make a Disney musical for this. It'll be called The Man Who Didn't Join the Group. No. Yeah, the romance crew coming through doing the thing. Annoying me so much I gotta sing. If you post that one more time, you're gonna get blocked because you already told my Slum Digger to stop posting that. So you're literally just spamming that message now and that emoji. How about none of them? I'll take the invisible one. And as much as we may dream, Justin won't join the romance team. I don't know who he is. You love I don't know who that person is. It's some new character. I just think it's really sad that if you discuss chick stuff, even if you don't identify with the group, you don't talk to any of the members of the group, they try to induct you into their team. Like it's the WWE Hall of Fame, except instead of accolade, you get harassment from people on both sides. If they made an app that lets you block all channels that post romance content that talk about any of those groups or pills, and it was called the romance deletion pill, the RDP, I would get that one. I'd download that and use it. I would say I'm part of the RDP. Don't want to hear about any of that trash anymore. Okay, I don't. So all this stuff about pills and these teams is literally being pushed upon me as an individual. It's all just projection. So I said people online act so goofy for no reason. And again, they write stuff wanting to be heard, but then if someone else speaks, they don't want to hear what the person's actually saying, which is the greatest irony of all. Yeah, I'm just imagining the what's a good way of saying this? The idea that you can get turned down by a bunch of chicks, never call for violence, say that you just at most would want to get married and have children, and have people accusing you of just wanting to get a girlfriend to get screwed when prostitution is legal in an area next to you. Have them say you're going to do violence even though you publicly oppose violence. I mean, it just that's why I said chicks seem like more trouble than they're worth because there's too much demonizing that comes out of talking to them. Like when you're done speaking to them and you come online and say something about it, people try to add insult to injury. You're ugly. You need to do these 99 steps. Let me close this out by going back to what Taco wrote earlier. So I'm supposed to believe that this girl would get bored after the honeymoon phase and cheat on him, but that this trophy wife, whatever the hell that means, a woman that looks cute but doesn't have a pot to piss in is not a trophy; she's baggage. But this trophy wife wouldn't. So I'm supposed to believe that some regular woman that he gets married to would he knows would cheat on him, but then the trophy wife would not. I just find that comedic. So the woman with no substance is more likely to not cheat on you because she's more attractive or she lacks less thing. Like I don't understand how you know for a fact or can positively assert that this regular woman would cheat on you, but the one who is more attractive that has less wouldn't. And why the hell would you want to get with the woman who has no substance? So how is that a better alternative? Women with substance don't exist. Well, I don't agree with that. I think finding one is that is not ridiculous romantically is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But I'm not going to say that because then people can turn around and say men with substance don't exist, which is a lie. People will pressure you and say you need to get out there and meet new people. I mean, if the pressure hasn't worked after years of online harassment, why would it work now? Yeah, exactly, Granzil. She would still cheat. Matter of fact, the trophy would be more sneaky. Oh, there you are, Dio. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being uh, the one person that was typing something for like 30 or 40 minutes. This got turned into a romance discussion that started off with my appearance being talked about because apparently that's a nice point of dialogue among men online. So I'll stream again on Monday and I'll put up a video tomorrow. I gotta go to the market. So thanks for showing up, Dio. Thanks, Slum Digger. Thanks, Zeal. Have a good day.